Think you're too young to buy a house? Hey, welcome in. This is my son Easton, my daughter Sutton, and my husband Logan.
How's it going, y'all?
Hi, I'm Kara. I'm your host. I'm 29 years old, and I bought my first home at 24. I've been an agent for almost a decade now, and honestly, buying a house wasn't even on my radar. I just kind of dove headfirst into real estate. So I've worked with clients from all ages, 20 to 70, but in particular in the 20 to 30 year range, I see a lot of struggles with mortgages, money. How do we get enough money to be able to buy a house? And besides just being an avid saver, it's finding those loan programs that are out there that allow you to purchase a home with less down, making sure that your credit is where it needs to be, building it up young and not ruining it. So I think as millennials and Gen Z, we are definitely in a little bit different of a situation than our parents and our grandparents. Real estate has changed. The economy has changed. I think the world has just changed in general, in particular with all the technology. So when it comes to finding your right team, truthfully, I think you're probably better off with someone in that same age group, because boomers like to work with boomers because they have things that they can relate to. They're in the same situations where they bought their house for $100,000 and now it's worth $500,000, $600,000, $700,000. And us as our, the millennials and the Gen Zs, that's just not the case for us. We don't have that same generational wealth that we've just been able to build because our market is significantly higher than it was when our parents and our grandparents bought their homes. I know my grandfathers told me that when they bought their home in 1960 something, it was $18,000, and their same home today would sell for probably almost $300,000 as a little 3-bedroom, 1.5 bathroom ranch. From the time I was younger, I really wanted to be a singer. Of course, every little girl's dream is to do something big like that. As I got older, I thought about maybe being a psychiatrist. I had a lot of trauma growing up, so I thought maybe helping people in that regard would be good for me. Kind of decided that wasn't for me. I graduated high school, and I had a friend whose parents owned a home inspection company. So they decided to hire me at 18, and I worked for them for a couple years and just kind of decided, I work with agents every day and their job seems way more interesting than mine. I was running around the office with no shoes on, no makeup on, just kind of wasn't for me, wasn't challenging me anymore. So I just took the plunge and I got my license, and I was 20 when I got licensed, 20 in 6 months maybe, and I did not buy my first home until I turned 24. It was about a week after I turned 24. It's almost 23. At first it was a little challenging not being a homeowner, but selling people homes and trying to explain to them why being a homeowner is great, because I wasn't practicing what I was preaching at that point. It wasn't for lack of ability to do so. It's just not something that I was comfortable with at that point in time. I did not want to live by myself. I did not want that completely on me. I just kind of wanted to focus on my career and still be young, because I was 24 barely when I first bought my home. So I was born in Georgia, in Marietta. When I was about 3 years old, my parents split up, and my mom raised me from then on out. When I was about 5, I kind of started to understand that Daddy had an addiction, and that's why he wasn't always around. So it was really just me and my mom. She owned a roofing company, or worked for a roofing company, all throughout my life. So she was a very strong influence, very independent woman. We chased storms when I was younger. So we actually lived in several different states between I want to say 4 and 7. Every few months we would chase some storm, and then we would move to the next place and move to the next place. And then eventually she brought me back here, back to Cherokee County, and that's where I've been ever since. My relationship with my dad was usually good when I saw him. My mom tried to shelter me as much as she could from the addiction, but my dad's a good person. He was always a good person. He actually passed away in 2022, just after my son was born, so I never got to meet him. But he was one of my best friends. I mean, we had a blast when we were together. I was always a daddy's girl. I looked just like him. My son looked just like him when he was born. Now I see him and my daughter, so I love that. I don't normally tear up. Sorry, guys. It's because he hasn't met my kids.
Yeah,
that's hard. Yeah. So I think that played a big role in kind of shaping who I am today. Really, both of my parents, I saw the struggles that my mom had to go through, and I knew, like, you know, I don't want anything to do with this. So I've never really been a drinker. I've never tried any drugs. It's always just been something that I knew, like, okay, addiction runs in my blood, and it's just not something that I'm gonna let overcome me or have power over me in any capacity. So I think that's really played a huge role in who I am today. I also knew, like, I wanted a strong marriage and I wanted a family, and it was not something that I would let affect my children from me or my spouse. So when I picked my husband, that one, I want you, I really just made it a point to make sure that I was with someone that I knew wasn't going to do that to us. I didn't want a repeat of my childhood. As good as it was, as great as my family was, and everybody kind of came together to help my mom out when all of that happened, it's just not something that I wanted to put my own kids through. I got married to my husband Logan in 2021, October 9th. And we had our first child, a little boy. His name is Easton. He just turned 3 in September of 2022. Then we, being crazy like we are, decided, well, let's just go for the second one. So my children are 21 months apart. My little girl's name is Sutton, and she was born in June of 2024, actually the day after my birthday. So that was a fun way to spend my 28th in labor, but I couldn't be any happier. I got my little Gemini, and hopefully our family is complete at this point. We'll see. As much as I love the luxurious homes that I get to sell and show sometimes, honestly, first-time home buyers really just have my heart. It's just one of those experiences that you can't even really describe, just to be able to put a family in a home and say, you know, you did this. Like, you worked so hard and you built this from the ground up. Like, you did it from scratch. You are here. It's really just incredible. There's just nothing like a first-time home buyer.
See y'all soon.